Well, hi folks, lovely evening. So I thought make the most of this weather because it's supposed to break at weekend. So what I'm going to do now tonight is get my gutter peas in, because I can't believe how quickly they have grown. I only planted them about 12 days ago, sowed them in fact 12 days ago, and they've absolutely flown along. So we're going to get those in this little trench here, and then I've got a few sweet peas to go in, and the first lot of banana shallots. That's the Elista. The Zabrun will be going in a bit later because I got some pretty bad germination with the Zabrun, so I had to sow a second lot, which are all coming up well now. So anyway, we'll get these guttering peas in first, and I'll show you how we plant those. Well, right then folks, as you can see, I've just made a bit of a shallow drill out, roughly the same size as the gutter there, so I can just slide some of these out. I like to give them a good watering first, so that it gets wet on the compost at the bottom, so it stops them sticking. And basically, instead of trying to slide the whole thing out in one, I like to sort of break it off in sections maybe about a foot long, and just slide each one out separately. So break that off there, just slide that out like so. Just find a natural break point between a couple of plants, and again just sliding them out. I've grown them this way for a while. I just find it gives them a really good head start. I know we've had some really good weather in the UK the last few weeks, but they still wouldn't have germinated outside for me because it has been quite cold at night. So I'll just do this other one, and this way it keeps the mice off them when they're just peas trying to germinate. And also, like I said, they've got a good root system. Really needs much good. Let me get this bucket out of the way. And I just find they do really well. These are quite immature, if you will. I see some people let them grow a lot bigger than this, but it's with anything. The more the earlier you can get things in and let them establish naturally, the better they tend to do for me. So no need to wait for them to get absolutely enormous. I'll try and do this one in, no I won't, I'll do it in sections. So that's filled that rope nicely. I'll just toddle along here, and basically all I'm going to do is just backfill with this soil round the plants, putting some at the back. So it couldn't be easier. So they'll all be touching the soil, the roots, so they should grow away really well. I've got some protection to put on, some like netted cloche things. I'll put those on after. That just keeps any sort of, if there's any pheasants knocking about. I don't think there'll be any at the moment, it's a bit early for them, but stops them having a nibble at them. Don't tend to get any pigeons, wood pigeons or anything really. So, and also the net is small enough to stop mice getting through, so that's always helpful, because you can always get an errant mouse knocking about. Giving him a bit of a nibble, just give him a bit more of a topping up. Any that are poking up, just push them down a bit. So that's that. Just spread my soil out a bit. So I'll just give these a good old flooding in now. Can't really give them too much water at this stage. Get them nicely settled in. So they should be good to go. They should take off nicely, unless we get another really cold spell. But anyway, that's how I plant my peas. That's that one job done. Right then, next job for tonight is I've got a few Elista banana shallots. They're not quite as big as I would like them to be. Well, they're as good as I'd expect them to be at this time of year, but I usually plant them out a little bit later. So I'm going to try some of these a little bit smaller than normal and just see if they take hold well, because I've planted some quite small before and they did just as well. Like I said, I always like to get things in quite early instead of letting them get pot bound. So we'll get some of these in. I've multi-sowed these about anything from, how many have we got? About 3. I was aiming for about roughly 3 to 4 to a module. I think some have got 1 that's come through and some have got about 4. So just a short row of these. I've got a lot of zebrun coming. Like I said, they were a bit on the poor germination side, so they will be a little bit later. So I'm just going to dip some holes roughly 6 inches apart. Gone a bit wrong with that one. I've got 2 in there, 1 in there where there should be 2. So, oh god, there's something there, isn't there? Big hole. Mole hole. A never ending, it just keeps going on. Anyway, we'll see how that happens. So just going to plant these. If I pull them out, you can see they've got a nice root system on them already. I'm just going to plonk them in the hole like so. If they come out of this plug like that, you know they've got enough roots. And once they take, they should grow where. These are Elista, another type of banana shallot. The other ones I'm growing are called zebrun. Been a bit poor for the last few years, but since I started using select seeds, I've got some that have been quite good. Well, they were brilliant last year, in fact. So, like I said, they'll be a little bit later. Ooh. And then what I'm going to do after this, I've got a few sweet peas, which I've done a bit of an experiment with. Growing them in modules rather than growing them all in a pot. You're seeing if they take any better. So I'll just chuck these in and I'll get on with those. The weather's supposed to turn next week. Never known weather as good as this early on in England for a long time. It's been nothing but sunshine for about 3 weeks. Had virtually no rain to speak of, so it's been good. Just get the rest of these in. So the sweet peas that I'm growing are Spencer mixed. They're just an old favourite really. Very scented, all different colours. So we'll see how they progress. If they start growing immediately, it'll be a first for me, because usually mine, I plant them and they look like they're going to die for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden they just perk up by about August and then they come to life. So I'm hoping that because I've grown them in modules this year without having to disturb any roots, that they might do a little bit better. So I've got 2 holes left. I might just be able to fill those up. A few scratty ones here. Just a spare bit of ground I've got behind me, my new netted cage, so might as well put something there. Got a few little bits here. I'll just push all those on in. Push all those into one hole and see what happens. So I'll give those a bit of a watering in, and then that's that done. Then we'll get on and try and plant a few of the little sweetie peas. Right, the first last job is to get the sweet peas in. They might look a little bit leggy. They probably are a little bit leggy, to be honest, but I think that's just because they've been grown singly, because they do tend to be a little bit more leggy than eating peas. But like I said, I've grown them in modules this year because I used to grow them in one pot about that big, about 40, and then just rip them apart, and then you get a plant with a tiny bit of root on, whereas these, I'm hoping, should have an entire root structure on like that, so I'm not actually disturbing the roots. So we'll see anyway. So I'm just going to plant them dead close together, just dib a hole, chuck them all in and see if they take any better than they do usually. I'll just chuck them in like that. Couldn't be easier. Might put a few pea twigs and and things up just to keep them to the net to help them grow up it. Planted 2 in each module, hoping that 2 would come up. I always plant them a lot closer together than most people, again because I just like to get loads of plants and loads of flowers. You do tend to grow a little bit taller this way, but you just get an awful lot more flowers. But like I said, I'm just trying to see if doing them this way, where there's very minimal root disturbance, will make them grow on any quicker. We'll have to see. They never are a fast starter with me, sweet peas, for some reason. Always just seem to, you plant them, they go yellow, look like they're going to die. Then about 6 weeks later, July, August time, they suddenly start to wake up, and then you get a crop. So we'll see. They were dirt cheap to buy these. I think we got 100 seeds for about £1.50, so literally about a penny each. So I'll get these in. They do look a bit pathetic, I must admit, but give them 3 months and they're all covered in flowers. It's a different matter. So like I said, the weather's supposed to be changing on Sunday. Oh, it's going to rain, so the slugs will probably be out in force. So I'd imagine they wouldn't last long if they get the smell of these. So I've got another tray of these growing at home, so just in case anything does happen to these, I've got a backup and I can replace them. But just have to wait and see. Not a lot you can do. If the slugs come out to play, we've had it. Oh dear. And if they don't, then I'll just plant another row at the back, get an even bigger crop. So that's it. That's my planting for tonight. A few shallots, my main peas, and then these little sweet peas. So that's about it, folks. Got a bit of a sweat on. See you later.